welcome back once again, cherished promotion candidate and lovely subscribers. Tonight is another beautiful opportunity to share with you some areas that are much of importance to our promotion aptitude tests. Wherever you're watching me from, you're most welcome. And let me see you in the comment section if you can hear from me. Let me hear from you from the comment section. If you can hear from me, let me know from the comment section. You're all welcome once again to tonight's promotion aptitude test. These areas are most important, and you need to cover these areas to help you pass your promotion aptitude test. Yes, patient Afi uh, is getting me live. Patient, you're most welcome. You have been one of the regular visit to my channel. Those who are hearing from me, let me get from you if you can hear from me from your end, and how are you been coping with the lessons. And today marks another beautiful day to share with you something very important, something very valuable for the promotion aptitude test. If you can hear from me, right? Yes, I have about 10 people. Everybody, make your voices be heard now. Let me hear from you. If you can hear from me, wherever you are watching me from, you're most welcome. And don't forget to throw your support through the Momo line under the screen 0241689 382. That is the Momo line you can use to support. Alidu, you're most welcome. Yes, yes. John, you're most welcome. Wherever you are watching me, you're most welcome to today's live tutorials. Today, we are not going to deal with questions, but we're going to deal with areas that are of interest to our promotion aptitude tests. And who knows, these questions may be dropping this year, or these questions areas may be dropping this year. So wherever you're watching me from, Mamuno to, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. Thank you for joining me once again this evening. So this evening we are going to dive into some key areas that questions usually come from. And it is very important you be with me till the end of this video. Till the end of this video. If you have not give this video a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, kindly press on the subscribe button and subscribe. And always share your comments. Any issue that you have concerning the promotion aptitude test, you can also share it to the support line, and I will get in touch with you. Today, somebody reached me from Western region. Western region. He reached me from Western. Is it Western North? Either Western region or Western North, one of them, and was giving commendations about my tutorials. Now, the good news is that GS is now beginning to tag what they call as my tutorials. I've seen it under my tutorials. GS, their official YouTube channel, is tagging my videos, and it is something very important. Probably they are also running through whatever I'm doing, or they are also going through whatever I'm doing. So whatever we are learning here, it is much of importance. So let's dive into today's tutorial. Today we are going to look at some terminologies and some things concerning promotion aptitude tests, concerning education, and it will be very lovely. So stay tuned till the end of this video. If you have not shared, try and go back, share it on other platforms, and come back again, and let's learn. Those who want to learn and pass the promotion exam, they need all these things to help them pass. So we're looking at um, 3Ds in the promotion aptitude test. Can somebody mention one of the Ds in the promotion aptitude test? The 3Ds in the promotion aptitude test. Can someone write something? Write one of the D's that you can remember in the promotion aptitude test or in GS. D's, 3Ds that we are going to look at. So when we are talking about these 3Ds, they are simply or basically talking about decentralization, delegation, and devolution. Devolution. So we have decentralization, we have delegation, and we have devolution. These 3Ds, surely you meet one or two in the promotion aptitude test, and that is why it is very important that I discuss it with you this evening, or share with you some information about these 3Ds. 3Ds. One is decentralization, the second one is delegation, and the third one is devolution. What is the meaning of devolution? What is the meaning of decentralization? Or what is the meaning of delegation? You need to know this. In a brief, if somebody can get an explanation or can give us a brief explanation about decentralization, devolution, and delegation, I will be you'll be welcome with your support. Try and share, always share the tutorials with somebody who is going to write. It's very important. Always share. So we are looking at decentralization. What is decentralization? Decentralization is also another devolution of power. When we say devolution of power, it simply means sharing of power from the um, central headquarters or the headquarters to the grassroots for the local people to take decision and inform the central authority about their approval of these things. So it is very important. So when we talk about decentralization, it's basically um, mean that sharing the powers of the central or the headquarters with the grassroots. So when we talk about decentralization, we're going to talk about government power being descend down to the grassroots or being shared down to the grassroots for them to take their own decisions or make their own decisions and informed this approval from the central. So we can talk about local government. So government policies, some are being developed at the local government area. So giving powers to the grassroots to make their own informed decisions. That is the decentralization. And through this, the local people are able to involve in governance, are able to have their fair share of the governance at the local level. So decentralization is a devolution of power from the headquarters to the grassroots, that the headquarters, the central government, to the grassroots, that the district assemblies. That is what you need to understand about decentralization. And this, the people make their own decisions. Then these decisions are approved by the headquarters or at the central authority, need the central authority approval. So when we talk about decentralization, it is basically telling us the sharing of power from the headquarters to the grassroots for the local people to make their own decisions and inform the central authority for their approval of those decisions. So that is what decentralization means. What is delegation? Delegation, I know most of you understand the term delegation. Delegation simply means a process whereby the superior officer or the leader assigns some of his responsibilities, some of his duties, some of his functions to the subordinate and grant him or her the adequate authority to perform, while the supervisor or the superior officer still remain accountable for the delegated tasks that he or she assigns to his subordinate. So delegation of powers simply means the superior authority assigning his duties, his responsibilities, his functions, parts of his functions, his duties to the subordinates, and grant him the adequate authority, the adequate resources to perform those functions that been assigned to him, while the superior officer is still accountable for the delegated tasks that he has given to the subordinates or his staff. So you need to know this. And what is devolution? This is a very technical one. Devolution. Devolution is almost like decentralization, but it has a slight difference. Have it in mind of this. Devolution is a process whereby um, a statutory or powers are um, being shared from central government of the sovereign states to governed as a sub-national level. Example, or another meaning of devolution. So devolution simply means transferring or delegation of powers or authorities or responsibilities from the central government to the local level of the government, such as the regional, the district, the local authorities. So this one, there's a delegation of powers. There's a delegation of powers, delegation of resources, and delegating of human resources, material resources, and human resources. So when powers are being delegated from the central government to the local level could include states. When you look at America or when you look at Nigeria, they are dealing with states. But here we are dealing with regions, we are dealing with districts. So the ways by which power is transferred or power is delegated or authority is delegated, responsibilities are delegated from the central government to the local level of governor, such as the region, the district, the local authorities, is mean or is simply understood as devolution. So devolution is often used to make governance more responsive to the needs and give the communities more control over their affairs. So in Ghana, we have the district assemblies, the district assemblies handle their local developmental projects. So that is devolution. When we talk about decentralization, it is also means sharing powers from the central government to the grassroots for the local people to make their decision. But here it is totally different or slightly different. So devolution is a statutory, it is backed by law. So the district assemblies where they take decisions concerning their own developmental projects, they have a local government authority that backs their decisions that they make. And no central government is having much influence in the decisions that they make. The project that they embark on, the central government has given them the power to take their own decisions to develop their own district, their own communities. So when we're talking about devolution, we said it is a statutory. Statutory here means it is backed by law. It is backed by law. This decentralization may not necessarily been backed by law, but devolution is backed by law. That is why we said it is a statutory delegation of powers from the central government of a sovereign state to the to to govern a sub-national level, such as the regional or the local level, the district or the local authorities. So that is why we say that devolution is backed by law. It is a statutory powers being delegated through from the headquarters to the regional to the district assemblies, where they make their own decisions that are being backed by law. So devolution is a statutory delegation of powers from the central government of a sovereign state to governed at the sub-national level, such as the regional or the local. Or the local here, we are talking about the district assemblies. So have it in mind. And it is a form of administrative decentralization. It is a form of administrative decentralization. It is a form of administrative decentralization or transfer of administrative and financial powers to the institutions which is backed by law. It is backed by law. They are backed by law. So when we are talking about devolution, there is what do you call it? Administrative transfer of powers from the headquarters down to the local level, which is backed by law. And decentralization may not be backed by law. I said it may not be backed by law. May, I use the word carefully. May not be backed by law. Some are being backed by law. But when we talk about devolution, devolution is a form of or is a statutory transfer of powers from the central government to the local government where they take their own decisions. So from the seat of the government to the regionals to the district assemblies where they embark on their own projects. So have it in mind. When you meet them, you're able to get a clear understanding. If you don't have any understanding, you can put it in the comment section right now so that I'll address it. Now let's look at these terminologies or these things that affect the condition of service of teachers or policies that affect that affect teachers as a condition of service. There are two key policies, or there are more than two key policies that affect the condition of service of teachers. One is the study leave. Study leave with pay has an effect on teachers in their progression and in their condition of service. So we have the study leave with pay. They also have maternity leave policy. Maternity leave policy is one of the policies that affect what we call it, the condition of service of the teaching fraternity. They also have secondment policy. What is secondment policy? Can someone give a brief explanation of secondment? Secondment. So when we are talking about secondment, what is simply the meaning of secondment? It is, let me use a football term here. So if a player is playing a particular football team, then the other team sees it so important that that player is very important for the team. So we may request for the mother or the parent team to loan that player to that club to help that club in some services that it needs from the player. So in Ghana Education Service, We also have secondment as a loan policy, that the parent, that is GS, loan its workers to other governmental institutions to go and help them and come back. That is secondment. So secondment, this is a policy where a teacher is given a second appointment outside the classroom with the permission from GS. This one, the permission must come from GS. So secondment, it is where a teacher is given a second appointment outside the classroom with the permission from GS to perform a certain function at those institutions and come back. So the teacher who is on secondment would be paid fully by GS and receive allowances at the loaned organization or the loaned institution. So what the teacher receives, the second appointment that the teacher gets from the loan institution is that only allowances are being offered to the teacher, but not a permanent salary being paid to him. So have it in mind. So the teacher who is on secondment will be paid fully by GS and receive allowances from his or her second job or second appointment. For example, um, during election time, most of the teachers are being loaned to the EC, the Electoral Commission, to work for them and paid on allowances. So this is a form of a loan. So if an organization or an institution is looking for what we call it, workers of GS to come and perform specific functions for them at their institutions, then GS grants those teachers or those staff or those employees to go and work for them and come back. The GS pays the full salary of the loaned teacher to that organization, but what he or she enjoys is allowances from the loan institution. So have it in mind. So we can take it like a teacher going to the National Civic Education, NCCE, where he goes there to work for them and come back. So have it in mind. Now let's look at this term too. This term also keep on coming in the promotion exam, but I don't know whether this year it may come again. Anything can happen. Reinstatement policy. Reinstatement policy also affects what we call it, the condition of service of teachers. Reinstatement. So reinstatement policy, what is the clear understanding of it? The clear understanding of reinstatement is that this is where a teacher who is charged with a false accusation by either his superior or by Ghana Education Service, the place that he or she works, he has been accused of false allegations. And during the period, this teacher or this worker is being interdicted or being withheld concerning his pay, or the benefit that he enjoys are on hold, and he's taken to an investigation. So after the investigation and it proves that the allegation level against that teacher is false, this teacher is being cleared and brought back to the service. So upon clearing him or her of all the charges, all the charges, all his entitlements are fully paid to him, even if it will take a year for those charges to be cleared and that person is being reinstated. It means that all his benefit and all his promotions that he deserves must be given to him by law. So reinstatement into the teaching profession is always done. So when there are false allegations leveled against you and investigations are done and you are being cleared, you are being reinstated in the teaching profession, and all the entitlement that you are due for, you are being paid, all the promotions that you deserve to go through, you go through. So that is reinstatement. And let's look at re-engagement. Re-engagement is simply somebody who decides that he wants to break the service and travel abroad, put the service on hold, and when he travel or he has gotten another chance somewhere and he want to break the service, then after breaking the service, coming back, the person sees the need that no, I need to come back to Ghana Education Service. So that person is re-engaged. So breaking the service on his own and coming back is re-engagement. Now let's look at something very important here. Incapacitation is a very technical word, very technical work. So incapacitation here simply means that a worker of GS or an employee of GS who have gone through accident and cannot function well and cannot be active and has been redundant in their service. It means that that person is incapacitated. That person cannot function as he used to do. Probably he had an accident and lost one of the arm or lost one of the leg. It sometimes or lost what we call the sight, or is being lost his hearing. Sometimes it's very difficult for you to function well in the institution that you work or the teaching fraternity. So that when you are incapacitated, incapacitation. So the first 6 months you're paid a full salary. The first 6 months, if you apply the law, the first 6 months you are paid full salary. The next 6 months you are paid half of the salary. So the next 6 months, half of the person's salary is paid to him. Then after that, the case is referred to a medical team to assess the situation and see if the person cannot function well. So if upon the recommendation of the medical board or the medical team, a decision is taken by GS to part ways with that teacher. So have it in mind. Incapacitation. Now let's look at these terms too. We may meet them in our promotion aptitude test. We are looking at standardization. You may meet them and sometimes you are confused. What is standardization? Standard. When we are talking about standardization, we are talking about standard of test construction and the use of tests. Standardization, the use of the tests in our classroom. So when we are talking about standardization, the consistency of the conditions and the procedures. The conditions here talking about the rules and regulations for administering tests or for conducting tests. So the consistency of conditions and procedures, that is the regulations for conducting a test, is known as standardization. So standardization is talking about the consistency of the procedures, consistency of the conditions, consistencies of the laws and regulations in conducting a test is known as standardization. So if you're conducting a test, the condition in which the test is passed through, the test takers are being passed through, the procedures that you use in conducting the test or administering the test is known as standardization. So the condition should be the same. So if you're conducting a test for a senior high school levels, those at Accra, those at Kumasi, those at Tamale, those at Sunyani, those at all the regions, all the district, all the local, they should be the same. Same condition, same procedures, same laws. That is standardization. So if it is true or false that others are answering in Accra, others are answering in Kumasi, the same thing should be applied to those who are taking the test wherever in the country. That is standardization. Now let's look at reliability. Reliability. You may meet question from promotion aptitude test that is on reliability. So when we are talking about reliability, reliability is the consistency of responses of the test. Consistency of the responses of the test. So if the same test is repeated under the same condition, the responses should be the same or similar for the individuals. So if you are taking a test, you are giving a test items to students or learners, and the results that is being produced, the responses that are being produced by the learners, they should be the same under the similar conditions. So the responses, take notes, the responses are talking about reliability. So if you are at BEC test, if you are giving BEC test to students in the whole country, the responses or the answers that they should provide shouldn't be different. It should be same or should provide the correct answers that you want. That is consistency of a test, consistency of responses of a test. So if the same test is repeated under the same condition, the responses should be the same or similar for each student or each learner in the classroom or each learner who is going to take the test. That is the consistency of the test. Now let's look at validity. Validity simply means the purpose and the interpretation and the use of the test. So the purpose of the test that you are conducting or the uses of the test. So how you interpret the test, its purpose and its usefulness. So when we are talking about the validity, validity is the degree to which a test measures what is intended to measure. The intended here is the purpose you are using the test to measure. So the test or measuring instrument measures what is intended to measure, the purpose of the test. So the moment you hear the intended purpose or the usefulness, that is, you are talking about validity of a test. So validity of a test, which measures what is intended, the purpose of the test that you are giving out to the students or the learners. Why are you conducting the test? You have your main purpose that you are conducting the test. That is the validity of a test. So the degree in which the test measures what it is intended, the purpose of it, of the test, is what we term as validity. So have it in mind so that when you meet them, you may not have a problem. Someone is saying, Setafun, so please, who can please can you BEC can you use BEC as example of standardization? That is very correct. You can use BEC. So for the standardization, you can use BEC. The conditions in which the test is taken should be the same, should be equal. You can also use WASI as an example. You can also use colleges of education semesters results, because the test items that are coming from either UCC or any other affiliate universities, they should be the same. The procedures in which the test is taken should be the same, and the condition in which the test is taken should be the same. So have it in mind in that way. Now let's look at this term, Role. What is a role? Role. Let's look at these terms too. What is a role? So a role is a position occupied by that a person occupies in a group or in a society, and his function. So the role in which the position in which you hold as a head, that is your role. In the classroom too, that is your role. So in the classroom, you are a teacher and you're holding that position of the whole group in the classroom. So a role of a person is a position in which he or she occupies in the group or in the society, and his functions that he performs. So the position and the function that go with your position. So the positions that you hold and the functions that you perform, that is your role. Then we also have role of ambiguity. Role of ambiguity. What is the meaning of role of ambiguity? The position that you hold, are you having some ambiguity in it? That is role of ambiguity. So a person who occupies a position and he or she is not sure or not consistent of his function, or has no clear understanding of his function, that is, or his functions are not clearly stated, so he doesn't know the kind of function that he's supposed to perform. That is role of ambiguity. Role of ambiguity. You are having doubt about your function. So when we say a role of ambiguity, a person who occupies a position and he or she is not sure or not consistent of his function. Let's take as a head. You are a head of institution. You have administrative functions that you are supposed to perform as a head. Then all of a sudden, we see you doing a liberal work in the school. That's a role of ambiguity. You don't know your clear definition of your functions, and you need to have a look at all this, and it helps. Now let's look at role of incompatibility. Role of incompatibility. So we have dealt with role of ambiguity. You're having doubts about your functions. Your functions are not clearly stated. That is role of ambiguity. So the position that you are occupying, you don't know you don't know your functions well, or you are not consistent with your functions. That is role of ambiguity. But role of incompatibility, a person who occupies a position, or a person who occupies a position and his or her functions are not in line with the expectation of the people he is serving. That is role of incompatibility. Here, the positions that you are holding and the functions that you are performing, you're not meeting the target of the people. And that means that role of incompatibility. So if you're a head, or you're head of an institution and you're heading, then the function that you're supposed to perform to satisfy the people, your functions are not being felt by the people, then that is role of incompatibility. Your functions are not being felt. You're not delivering for the expectation of the people. That is role of incompatibility. Ambiguity simply means you don't know your function, or your clear functions are not stated. But here, you're performing your functions, but your functions are not meeting the expectation of the people. That is role of incompatibility. So a person who occupies a position and his or her functions are not in line with the expectation of the people he serves. So it has to do with the expectation of the people you serve. So the people that you are serving, if you are the director of the district and your functions that you are performing are not to the satisfaction of your um, your subordinate in the district or your staff in the district, then that is role of incompatibility. So have it in mind. Now let's look at role of conflict. What is role of conflict? Role of conflict, or we have conflict of interest. Role of conflict, and it's the same as conflict of interest. When the functions of the person's positions are in contradiction, that is a role of conflict. A person occupies a position and performs functions that are contradictory or contrary to each other. That person is having conflict of interest or role of conflict. Role of conflict. So the functions that you're supposed to perform, and they see you performing a different function, that is a role of conflict. So the position that you're holding and the functions that you're supposed to perform, and their functions are contrary. You're doing something that is contrary to your functions. That is a role of conflict. So have it in mind. A role of conflict. The work that you're doing, you are the administrative head of the institution or head of the school. Then they see you performing a liberal work. They see you performing, let me take it, a security work. That is a role of conflict. That is not your function. It is somebody's function that he or she is supposed to perform. And you have left your functions and you are performing somebody's function. That is a role of conflict or conflict of interest. So performing an additional duties which is not yours. Performing an additional duties that is not yours. So let's take it in the classroom. You are a head, or let's take it as a classroom teacher. Then all of a sudden we see you performing a prefectorial functions. You are not to perform those functions, and you are performing a prefectorial function or the function of the prefect, the school prefect. You are not supposed to do that. That is, you are clearly performing an action or performing a duty that is not yours. That is a role of conflict. So have it in mind. Now let's jump into these terms: educational programs and educational processes. What are educational programs? Educational programs, simply in a simple explanation. So what the teacher teaches in school are what we term as educational programs. What the teacher teaches, or what the school teaches, or what the school guide the learners to obtain. That is educational program. So what the school teaches is learners, or what the school teaches to the learners or give to the learners. Those are what we call educational programs. So it answers the questions, what is being taught. So what is being taught in the school are educational programs. Educational programs. We're looking at educational programs and educational processes. So what is being taught by the school, what the school gives to the learners, what the school gives to the students are what we call educational programs. So that is all the planned and unplanned learning activities or learned activities that the school takes care of it are what we call educational programs. So educational programs is the curriculum and all other learning experiences that is given to the learner. These are what we call educational programs. So the unplanned learning activities such as quizzes, field trips, we can talk about excursions, we can talk about debates, we can talk about football activities or co-curriculum activities. These are what we give to the learners, and they are called educational programs. Now let's look at educational process. What is educational process? Educational process are simple in understanding or explanation. So the interaction between you and the learner, the teacher and the learner and the environment for skills to be acquired and knowledge to be acquired is what we term as educational processes. So educational processes can also be termed as the methods, and educational programs can also be termed as the content. So the content you give to the learners are what we term as educational programs. But the methods in which you use, the techniques in which you use, the strategies in which you use, as what we term as educational processes. So this is the interaction between the teacher and the learner to enable the learner acquire the skills and the knowledge. So this is the instructions that is given to based on the curriculum, based on the syllabus, based on the curriculum, based on the teacher resource pack or the teacher's guide. Have it in mind. So evaluation is also conducted to identify the learning differences among the students, and these learning differences are corrected by the teacher. And it includes the curriculum evaluation and instruction. So during the process, they are all assessed. The learning process is being assessed. So when we are talking about educational programs, they are the method, the techniques, the strategies that the teacher used to interact with the learners to enable them acquire the skills and acquire the knowledge in the classroom or outside the classroom. So have it in mind. Very simple to understand. So pedagogy or methodology, they are all under the educational process. Then the content that talks about the curriculum and other educational experiences are also provided under the educational programs. So have it in mind. So you need to learn this before you go and write your promotion exams. If you have not given this video a thumbs up, please try as possible to like this video and share with someone. Please kindly support us for us to bring you the tutorials all the time. It's very important. Now, some officers are beginning to tag my videos, and I know definitely they are learning something, they are picking something from these videos, and who knows that they may pick questions from these areas, and you may struggle if you don't go through. Now let's look at this policy that was introduced in 1995. 1995. Margaret Amponsa, thank you for the handshake. So this policy brought about the 4 frontline deputy directors at our directorate. The frontline deputy directors that came through this educational policy that was introduced in 1995. It was very, very important. That is the free compulsory universal basic education. We're going to look at it. It was introduced in 1995. So the free compulsory universal basic education, that the FCUBE. This means that any form of education that is term basic should be free. Any form of education that is offered to learners should be free, and it must also be universal. Universal. It should cover all, or everybody is entitled to enjoy. Universal. Everybody should enjoy. The content of education should also be the same for all basic education people, irrespective of where the school is located. So what is being taught in Accra should be taught in my village. In my village. Someone will ask, where is my village? One day I'll tell you my village. So the content or access to education should be universal. The content that is taught in Accra or at Accra, in Kumasi, in Tamale should be the same in my village. So the program should be universal. So if basic education must be completed, basic education must be completely free, then it should be compulsory. It should be backed by law. It should be compulsory. And you have to know that. And it is a 10-year program which came about as a result of the Republican Constitution of 1992. And however, it was started in 1995, as I already indicated. And it was to end in 2005, from 1995 to 2005. And because it was necessary, its implementation continues. So because of its purpose was not achieved in 2005, it was extended to 2015. It was extended in 2015, another 10-year period. Another 10-year period was also given. So what was the purpose of the FCUBE? So its purpose, or its purpose of introduction, is to strengthen the basic educational programs, those that have already been introduced. So the main purpose, or the main reason why it was introduced, was to strengthen the educational programs and policies that was introduced. Every Ghanaian child who, the second purpose was that every Ghanaian child who is of school going age should be in school, hence education should be free and compulsory to all. So two main purposes that calls for the introduction of the FCUBE. It was introduced to strengthen the existing educational programs, or the basic educational programs. Then the second one, or the second purpose of the FCUBE, or the free compulsory universal basic education, was that every Ghanaian child of school going age should be given the opportunity to enjoy education, and it should be free and compulsory. It is backed by law. You must send your child to the school. Now let's look at the main objectives. So that we have dealt with the purpose. Now let's look at the main objectives. Why did they introduce FCUBE? What are the objectives? What are they supposed to achieve at the end of it? That are the main objectives. So the main objectives, or the main focus areas of the FCUBE, are three. There are three objectives of the FCUBE, or the free compulsory universal basic education. It has three. It has three objectives, or three focus areas that it needs to address. One is improving the quality of teaching and learning, whether you like it or not. AD2 up to DD, you meet questions from this. Whether you like it or not, you meet questions from this. From your explanation, it appears a role of ambiguity is same as role of conflict. Can you throw more light on it? there are differences. Role of ambiguity is different. Role of ambiguity is different from role of conflicts. Role of conflicts, you are not role of ambiguity, you are not consistent with the functions that you are performing, or it's not clearly stated. It's not clearly stated. And let me go back. So role of conflict, the function of the person is in contradiction. So you are performing a different thing. The role of ambiguity, that's the role of ambiguity that you are talking about. Let me see. Role of ambiguity. It may be that you are performing the same function, but you are not consistent with it, or they are not clearly stated. But this when you are doing a different thing altogether. You're doing a different thing altogether. You don't understand, or you don't know the kind of function that you're supposed to perform. But the role of ambiguity, it may be that you understand what you're supposed to perform, but you're not performing it in a consistent base. So look at it here. A person occupies a position, or he or she is not sure or consistent of the function. The functions are not clearly stated. Maybe that you understand it, but how you see it is different from. But the role of conflict, you're doing entirely different of whatever you're doing. You're doing entirely different. So there may be slight similarities in it. So have it in mind. Now let's come to what we're discussing. The FCUBE, I said it has three main objectives or three main focus areas. One is improving quality of teaching and learning. That is one objective of the FCUBE. That the free compulsory universal basic education, it has three objectives. One of the objectives is to improve quality of teaching and learning, improving quality of teaching and learning. And in this, what is supposed to be done? So in the policy, it involves that mass training of teachers, then organization of pre-tertiary, pre-service training, that is training teachers in the colleges to come out and work for Ghana Education Service. So one of the objectives to improve the quality of teaching is that to train more teachers, to train more qualified teachers in the organization of the pre-service, that is the colleges of education. And in-service training and workshop conferences were also used to improve teaching and learning methodologies or pedagogies, and improving the morale of teachers, motivating the teachers for them to stay in the classroom in the country by improving the condition of service of the teachers. Then another thing that was done under improving the quality of teaching was that improving the curriculum was also one of the things that improved the quality of teaching. That brought about the review of the 2008 educational reform that came. Then previously there were also some educational reforms that took place. So one of the things that the FCUBE or the Free Universal Basic Education brought about was improving the quality of teaching and learning, and that many teachers should be trained then in the training colleges, then those who are in the service before or those who are in the service, they should attend workshops to improve their methodologies and pedagogies. It's very important. Then curriculum or the subjects or the content that was to deliver to the learners should also be reviewed. So we have improving of the curriculum to suit the demands of the society and to support the teacher community relationship that brought about this SMC, then board of governance. We also have this DIOC and the rest. They are all bodies that were established, PTA and the rest, to improve the teacher teacher community relationship. And if there is improvement in the relationship, the teacher will have accommodation in the community and peace of mind to stay and teach in the community. So that was why it was very important for this policy to be introduced in the year 1995. The second objective was improving management efficiency. Improving management efficiency. Improving management efficiency. So in improving management efficiency, there will be an improvement in the management so that there will be an efficient and day-to-day management of the schools. Day-to-day management of the schools. That's why we have the SMC chairman, the head. They are all collaborating to efficiently manage the school. So have it in mind. So the office staff, that is the district, the municipal, and the metropolitan directors and other staff, were trained as well as the heads of the schools to handle these institutions or to supervise teaching and learning and be effective in their positional roles or their organizational roles that they perform. So the 4 front deputy directors were created and trained. So this 1995 FCUBE that were established brought about the 4 frontline workers in our education directorate. So the 4 frontline deputy directors or ADs directors were created and trained. Directors were appointed to mind the district, to mind the municipal, and to mind the metros. So this policy was so much important that it changed the entire system of education. So through this policy, this FCUBE that brought about the 4 the 4 deputy directors that were created in the various district, the various municipal, and the various metros. And district directors were appointed, and municipal directors and metro directors were appointed to help. Training workshops were organized for all levels of management to ensure effective supervision. So have it in mind. And this brought about the circuit supervisors. If we have the AD of supervision, we have the F&A, we have the research, monitoring and evaluation, then the inspectorate team. These 4 deputy directors were created in the education directorate to help mind the schools or help in the management of the various schools to effectively supervise the work in teaching. Then discipline and accountability was one also the main thing that was emphasized in this policy. Discipline and accountability. The position that you are holding, you need to be disciplined about it, and you need to be accountable to the position in which you hold. So nobody is there for himself or herself. The position that you are occupying, you are not there because of your selfish interest or your gainful interest, but for the interest of the service. Then elimination of teacher absenteeism was one of the main focus under this improving management efficiency. So teacher absenteeism was also looked at, lateness and misuse of instructional time, where teachers go to school late. When they get to the school, they don't work, or you see them doing their own things. It was also looked at under this second objective, that is improving management efficiency. Now, the third one is the most important one you need to know. Like this video and give this video a thumbs up. I'll be ending very soon. Very soon I'll be ending the tutorial. The third one is improving access and participation. Improving access of the learners and improving participation of the learners. How? In improving access, people will learn to stay, or will have the opportunity to go to school and stay and learn. They need to stay, have the opportunity to go to school and stay there and learn. There should be classrooms for all learners who are attending schools. There should be teaching and learning materials, that is the books, and there should be furnitures for students to comfortably sit in their classroom and learn. It's very important. Then participation. We said improving access and participation. And this FCUBE also brought about the girl child unit. Have it in mind, the girl child unit. So improving participation. How? There should not be a dropout in the school. There shouldn't be a dropout. All learners should participate in learning processes. So whoever is enrolled should stay and complete basic education. So have it in mind. This FCUBE was a policy that was a turning round policy for Ghana education. Then expanding infrastructure. Expanding infrastructure is one of the things that helps in improving access and participation. So if we have a large enrollment and we don't have infrastructure to cope for the large enrollment, then this policy may not be effective. So expanding infrastructure, building classrooms, then the existing one should be expanded. So have it in mind. Ensuring equity, ensuring fairness. So nobody should be discriminated when assessing school opportunities. No. So ensuring equity in distribution of the teachers, then distribution of the textbook and distribution of the furnitures. Every learner should have the opportunity to get the learning material, the furniture to sit in, and the classroom, the books that they are supposed to use. Then the teachers that are supposed to guide them, they need to have a fair share of these resources. So all materials for enhancing teaching and learning should be readily available, in the classroom for learners to learn. So enrollment and retention was also one of the key things under the access and participation. So things should be done right to increase enrollment and retention. They should be able to retain the learners in the classroom. The child should stay in the school and complete basic education, right from primary to the JHS, And no child should be dismissed for any reason. No child should be dismissed. These are the things that you need to know about the FCUBE before you go and write your promotion exams. I'm super grateful and most grateful for having you this evening. And don't forget to throw your supports. If you were to attend any other platforms for these tutorials, you will not pay less than less than 100 Ghana cedis. And no 100 Ghana cedis and above, you pay it. 150 Ghana cedis, others are charging 150 Ghana cedis, 200 Ghana cedis, 250 Ghana cedis. I'm saying I'll do it for free for you people. And it is a pleasure to always come by and share with you. Thank you. God bless everybody for coming, and have a good night. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up before you leave or before you cut this tutorial. Like this video and come back tomorrow. Tomorrow I may be looking at the Education Regulatory Body Acts. Education Regulatory Body Acts at 2023. The 5 regulatory bodies that were established or were backed by law in the year 2020. We look at them, and it's very important. So I'm most grateful for you coming and through your support. Margaret Amponsa, you're most welcome. Thank you. Have a good night, and we shall meet tomorrow. Bye bye. Or if you have any issue, you can bring it up. If there's no issue, then we call it off, or we end this kabudu and come tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening rather. Have a good night. Bye bye.